Hello, everybody. Welcome to Carla Paiva Life Coach Show with FREQUENCY5FM. And before we start, I hope everybody is nice and warm tonight. So I would like to thank all my sponsors. If you're planning to sell or buy a house, call Tony Manchella. He works for Remax, and his contact number is 416-726-1723 or 416-745-2300. Once again, if you're planning to buy or sell your house, call Tony Manchella at 416-726-1723 or 416-745-2300. I would also like to thank Carlos. He is the owner of the Go Chatter. So if you're heading to any December, coming up celebration, call Carlos. He has the right transportation to get you from point A to whatever letter you require. So contact Carlos at 647-229-1256. Once again, for 647-229-1256 with Go Charter. So everybody, tonight we will be talking about self-talk and seeking happiness. So if you have any questions or you want to engage, please do so. We're more than happy. And I have in the house Alexia DiBiase.
Yay, thank you.
So by now you guys should know who Alexia is, I hope.
I would hope you know who I am, yes.
So self-talk. What is self-talk, right? Lex, what is self-talk? Do you self-talk to yourself?
I do. It's really just coaching yourself and really being able to look within yourself and know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and being able to just take those strengths and weaknesses and make them into something that can bring your life to the next level. And I think that we all have the ability to do so. We just all have to dig deep within ourselves to find what exactly it is that we're looking for, what exactly it is we want to work on. And as soon as we kind of find that piece of ourselves that we want to move forward with, that's when we have to start internalizing it and analyzing it from different aspects. And that's when we can, carry on the journey of self-discovery and being able to grow. So
basically talk to yourself as if you would be talking to another person, right? So also at times you can turn down the volume of your negative inner voice and create a nurturing inner voice to take its place. So basically self-talk is the form that we do it to in tune within ourselves, to kind of, if something happens, then you start sometimes second guessing or whatever it is. Overthinking, that's a form to self-talk to yourself. Yeah. Or you start like, should I not, or did I do this right or wrong? Kind of doubting. It's very highly self-talking.
Oh yeah, self-talking I think is also very much like thoughts are very powerful, and I think a lot of the times when we have thoughts, a lot of people just think that it's just the mind playing games, but it's actually you really communicating with yourself. And if you are in a position where you are having a very negative thought, or you are having a moment where you're starting to think really negatively about a situation, that thought that you are having in your brain can actually become a reality. And I think that that's why it's very important to get your mind and your body and your soul into a place where everything that is coming through that brain filter is a positive thing. I think that obviously there's going to be times in life that there is going to be self-doubt, there is going to be negative vibes, there is going to be times where you are going to overthink things, and that's completely normal and humane. But if we can keep ourselves at a 75-80% positive thinking, then that internally will allow ourselves to carry a more positive life. And if there's one thing I want to talk about, is there was this movie, it's also a book as well, it's called The Secret, and I don't know know if anyone has ever seen it or read the book, but it's all about it's all about, how thoughts are powerful.
Energy and thoughts,
and
yeah.
how whatever thoughts and whatever you think is what's going to come back at you. And it's also about visualization as well. Self-talk doesn't have to be about you having a conversation. It's also you actually visualizing yourself in a position in your life and seeing kind of what exactly you want. Everyone has something that they lack, and everyone has something that they want in their lives, and being able to visualize it and bring it to life, I think is so powerful, because if you're able to literally dream and envision what it is that you want for yourself, whether it be going on a vacation, making more money, attracting a guy or girl in your life, having a more positive family outcome, being able to have that kind of thought process, I think is very wow.
A guy or a girl in your life.
Well, I'm just saying it's always important. It's always important to visualize exactly what you want. Self-talk doesn't also mean talk. It doesn't mean verbalizing to yourself and have a conversation. It oftentimes has to do with your thoughts too. So
yes, so like there's also the positive self-talk is to emotional pain as a pain pill is to the physical pain. Does that make sense?
Right. So what you're saying is that basically, if you're having an emotional downpour within yourself, it can actually result in you actually becoming physically ill, and that's actually very true. Your thoughts not only dictate your mental health, but it can also dictate your physical health as well. So when we're talking about self-talk, like I said, it's always important to keep those thoughts and keep those emotions that we're having within ourselves and that talk to be a very positive outcome. Because without the positivity and without that internal dialogue of trying to keep things moving in a positive light, it could lead to something destructive. And even though we don't even necessarily know it sometimes, our thoughts are what dictate our future and dictate what is currently happening right now in our lives. So.
Or what's about to happen, right?
That's exactly right, yeah.
Which is basically the way you choose to think and speak about yourself, to yourself and others, is a choice.
Yes.
So basically, if you choose to think positive, it's a choice that you have chosen to do so.
Yes.
But if you choose to think negative and from a problem, you create that problem to be a bigger problem than what it is, then you made that choice to do that.
Yes.
Right?
And I think a lot of the times, we have to also be able to self-reflect. Are we able to control our thoughts? Are we able to get a hold of our thoughts? And sometimes there are times where you aren't able to. There are times where you go through experiences in your life that are very traumatic. And when things are traumatic for you, it's very hard for you to be able to pull your brain out of that space. And sometimes it's very important to really accept the fact that you may not be able to get yourself out of that negative space alone. And it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that, you're in a negative spot. It doesn't mean that you are, useless. It just means that you need help and you need some guidance. And I think that a lot of people need to start opening up, their brains and opening up their minds to, to possibilities of having other people help them. And I think that that's why I really enjoy, coming on the show and helping people, because I really want to be able to broaden people's minds and give them different perspectives on things, just as like how I would want someone to do the same for me.
And you're doing a good job.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
Thank you. So, yes.
Right, guys?
Thank you. As well, being able to ask for help and being able to acknowledge that sometimes you can't get out of that negative mind space alone. And help doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to see a psychologist, although going to seek help to a therapist or psychologist is completely normal as well. But sometimes reaching out to your friends, doing things that make you happy, putting yourself in yoga, going to the gym, putting yourself in positive mind spaces to get yourself healthy. Because sometimes just, working on yourself in a physical aspect helps with the mental aspect as well.
Yes. So yeah. Basically, if you're not happy with your physical, and then all of a sudden you start getting to that goal, then your mind and your thoughts start, attracting the right things, the positive things, because now you feel stronger, you feel better, you feel confident, and you walk confident everywhere you go.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right?
No, absolutely. So I think that the main, point with self-talk that I want everyone to, take away from is that your thoughts are very powerful. Don't underestimate how powerful your thoughts are. I think a lot of the times we sometimes let our ego take over. And I think that needs to be a big topic of discussion, as well as what exactly is our ego. Our ego is something that it's really just this false presence within yourself that tells you how you should be living your life, the kind of life that you should be living. The ego oftentimes takes over your normal. It takes over your reality because, with societal, pressures, with, financial pressures, with political pressures, with work pressures, you begin to start
creating that ego,
right? Exactly.
Which basically it's like a form of, I call it a barrier, because once your ego is up, right, then it becomes
for something deeper.
Yes, and then it becomes like a barrier when dealing with others, because having your ego being there, that doesn't mean that the right decisions are being made.
Absolutely.
So that's when self-talk with yourself and listening to yourself and understanding that what I did was not right, and have some balls and
some
come
ownership
forward and actually come forward and tell people, I did this wrong, or I apologize, whatever it is, right?
And even for myself too, I can honestly take responsibility in a sense where it's like there was a period of time in my life where my ego was a little inflated, and I needed to humble down. And I think that there was a point in my life where I realized that my ego was taking over, because I would just I had so much positive happening in my life, and everything around me was going really well. But I eventually realized that when you're doing well, you don't necessarily have to show it, you don't necessarily have to talk about it.
Yeah,
and
right.
And I think that I'm now in a place where I can honestly say that even though things are going well for me, I don't feel the need to talk about it. I don't feel the need to flaunt it. If someone asks me about it, of course I'll talk about it, but other than that, I've definitely taken a different approach on how I want to view my life, and how I want people to view me as well. I want to be viewed as a very kind and a very approachable individual, and I think that sometimes when you do have that bit of an ego, and again, this is something that I do take responsibility for, when you do take on that ego, you sometimes give this persona to people that you are a little bit difficult to get along with, or that you are a little bit difficult to approach. But that's why it's very important to really take a hold of when that ego starts to kind of get a little bit out of control, that you kind of rein it back a little bit and really focus on what's important. And what's important is your health, your family, your friends, and just living life to the fullest. So
yeah, well, it could also be your health, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're going through something in your life that your health is stopping you from being normal, in a sense that being able to be active, being able to be your own person, and if that's stopping you from being that, then that will basically create issues there.
Absolutely. And I think that what we all have to realize is that whenever we go through a bad part in our life, the first thing we want to do is go back to that whole negative self-talk, where we want to pity ourselves, we want to victimize ourselves. But the biggest thing about being able to get yourself out of that type of self-talk is really being able to look at what you're grateful for. You know what I mean? What in your life is working for you? What in your life is benefiting you? What in your life is bringing joy and happiness to you? And to focus on that, because when you have gratitude, and when you're able to reflect on your life and know all the positive things that you have, all the negative that's kind of in your life will kind of go away. And I know there's often times where one negative thing happens over and over and over, but just know that there's a lesson in every negative thing that happens. You may not know what the lesson is right away, but the lesson will come, and it'll punch you right in the face when it does. So as much as it's very easy for us to like kind of go back into that negative hole, it's best to, oh God, what am I looking at? What am I looking at?
Jimmy, come on, Jimmy. We're just like, we are laughing and smiling. Did you read what the
Is
Jimmy
it hard
said?
not to smile when you're trying to be serious when you are live?
I find it so hard to do. Yes, it is hard to be extremely serious.
Yes. Find a balance here. Yeah.
But once again, there is one thing that you talked about there, victimize yourself. So when you victimize yourself, I actually don't agree with that, because victimizing yourself means that you're putting yourself as a negative, and everywhere you go, all you do is attract negativity energy towards you.
Yep.
And the fact that you are putting yourself as a victim absolutely stands for that you're not wanting or willing to move forward in life. and
That's right.
be able to excel and reach to and overcome whatever that it's causing you to be stuck there in that victim
Yes.
title.
And sometimes what needs to happen is when something negative happens in your life, there needs to be that grieving period. You are allowed to feel hurt, and you are allowed to take time to reflect on what has happened to you. But there comes a point where if you continue to victimize yourself, you are only affecting yourself. The person that victimized you or the situation that victimized you, you are giving that power away. And I think that it is very crucial that you will then regain power within yourself when you have forgiven the situation. When you have forgiven the person, the situation, or the circumstance that has happened to you, that is then the moment in which you can now start to grow. We have all gone through things in life. We have all been, betrayed by people. We have all worked in, really bad environments. We've all had negative things happen to us. Not everyone on this planet has had a success-only journey. So at the end of the day, you have to be able to really look within yourself and find that forgiveness, because that's when you'll be able to regain back that power and get that positive mindset back in its place and start moving in a more positive direction. It's very easy to blame other people. It's very easy to be like, well, it's my parents' fault for why I don't have a good job. It's my friend's fault for why I can't go out. It's this person's fault for why I'm not where I am in life. But what you have to ultimately realize that you are responsible for yourself. You're responsible for your own actions. You're responsible for your own life. And if you are in a position where you are not happy with something, it is up to you to forgive what has happened and find a way to get yourself back into a positive space.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So basically, the other thing is not only these people become like putting themselves as a victim, they start, going out there and tell others how they were victimized and how their story was. Meanwhile, for some reason, in the beginning, the story was that they understood that they were at fault.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, because they can't seem to get into that peace of mind or whatever it is, then they start putting themselves as a victim.
That's
and
right.
then they start telling people that, this is what so-and-so did to me, this is what so-and-so did to me, and now here I am and I can't move forward, or here I am, I feel like, so miserable and whatever it is, unhappy, right?
Yeah.
So then the key is stop victimizing yourself, move on. Life, there's so much more to life than just sitting there and living the past. What's past, it's gone. That's why it's behind, right? So I know it's easy said than done, but at the end of the day, it's possible.
It is absolutely possible, 100%. And I think that, and kind of leading into the next topic that I know that we were talking about, which is seeking happiness. Yeah, I think that, one of the biggest ways to seek happiness is to get yourself out of that victim stage. It is, I think, very important to be able to really define for yourself what exactly makes you happy. And in my opinion, I think that there is a right and wrong way to be happy. I think, and I say this with no disrespect, but I feel that in our generation, a lot of people define their happiness based on how many likes they get on their Instagram, based on, the material items that they have, based on the car they drive, the amount of money they make. And I think that, yes, those things are wonderful. No one is taking away that you worked really hard and you deserved that car, you deserved that materialistic item. But if you are defining your happiness based on things and based on the way people view you and not based on the kind of person that you are,
it's not going to last long.
It's not going to last long at all.
Yeah.
I think that happiness is really based on being able to wake up in the morning and knowing that no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what job you have,
how much you make,
no matter what car you drive, no matter where you live, no matter how many vacations you've been on, that you are able to wake up and know that you are comparing yourself to no one. That is ultimate happiness, in my opinion, is when you are able to wake up and know that there are people that have it worse and there are people that have it better than you, but no matter what is going on outside of your own four walls, that you are completely content with what you have. And I think that society does a very horrible job in implementing that. I think that society is always making you feel that if you don't have the next best phone or the next best car or the next best job, if you don't make a certain type of money.
Competition.
Yes.
Oh, let me be better than you because I can get this because, oh my God, it's so easy. But then the other person is like, oh, wow, I feel so awful because I cannot get it nor I can afford it, right?
That's right.
So, and then that starts making them feel like, okay, I got to change something in my life. But then once again, why are you going to change something just because that individual was able to reach that?
Right.
But then at the end of the day is, are you really happy if you make that change? Right?
Yes.
Because some people, they make the change and then all of a sudden they find something else. There's always seeking for something to replace whatever it is that they think that needs to be replaced. But at the end of the day, they don't need to replace anything, right? So then at the end of the day, it should be whatever your daily is or whatever in your life you're fulfilled with whatever you have, and you don't need to always be seeking for something,
seeking gratification,
which is seeking things on materialistic. Let's talk about memories and happiness. I think that's something that really fulfills your heart and soul as opposed to materialistic things. Materialistic things is absolutely just like, okay, you buy it, you're happy for a few hours, you're jumping up and down, you
take a picture with it, you post on your social media, everyone's like, oh my God, your bag is so beautiful. But once they post that comment on your photo saying your bag is beautiful, they forget about it 10 seconds later. It's a very big it's false happiness, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think that
it's a temporary happiness.
Yes, it's what it's doing is it's fulfilling an ego, and again, that's bringing back ego, right? It's fulfilling a different part of the brain or a different part of the soul. That is, it's very materialistic, and I think that sometimes people are afraid to feel real true happiness, because if they feel real true happiness, they're afraid that everything that they have created, this wall, this facade, you know what I mean? Once that facade is taken away from the person, that's when they're really afraid to show them their true selves, because they have to step up to the plate. You know what I mean?
Well, it's basically like it's too good to be true. Yeah. Right? That feeling of fulfillment. Yeah. It's too good to be true. And then all of a sudden they start questioning. And they start wondering if this is actually happening and if it's possible. So now, what is true happiness to you? Jimmy says. So what is true happiness to you?
Well, my mom, I remember she mentioned to me this quote, and I think it was brilliant, when she says, when you die, there's no U-Haul at the end of the hearse. So if you guys aren't familiar with what U-Haul is like a moving company that has all of these really big trucks that help you move your furniture and stuff. Just throwing it out there for those of you who don't know it. And basically what that kind of saying is, says that when you die, you're not bringing your materialistic possessions with you. Your soul goes to heaven or wherever you believe it goes, and you leave everything physical here. And I think that true happiness, in my personal opinion, is based on experiences, number one. I think traveling and seeing the world, being able to have intimate moments and memories with people that are important, being able to, put yourself in different uncomfortable zones that you would never think possible. So being able to push yourself to the next level, I think those are things that you take with you. Things that you're able to look back and be like, wow, that is once in a lifetime. To me, I don't think that having the latest technology or having the latest fashion item or having the latest purse is happiness to me. And the reason being is because at the end of the day, when the latest Gucci purse comes out, a month later they're coming out with the winter collection. And once the winter collection's gone, then the spring collection is gone. So it's literally false happiness that just keeps on recycling itself. While when you create a memory in your life, when you create an experience in your life, that is something that sticks with you. That is something that can never be replaced. While a Gucci purse can be replaced by multiple other Gucci purses down the road. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that true happiness is being able to have something in your life that cannot be replaced. If it can be replaced, then it's not giving you ultimate happiness. But if it is something that is once in a lifetime that you can only create in that moment with someone or with something or with even just by yourself, that is what's going to fulfill that soul within you. And I think that to find happiness sometimes for people is to really remove themselves from where their situation is, and really
unhealthy situation.
Yes, and travel the world. You know what I mean? Put yourself in a different energy, in a different environment, and you'll notice that not only will you gain a different strength, but you'll gain a different perspective on life as well. So to kind of answer your question, happiness comes from experiences and memories, not from things.
Yeah. So it's basically, I guess for myself would be very much in helping people transforming themselves, bring their pain into smiles, bring their struggles into accomplishments, bring their visions into goals.
Yes.
So that to me is happiness, because at the end of the day, when you make a difference in someone's life, even if it's one individual, I mean, you're already making a huge impact in the world, believe it or not, because it's one person that you have saved from their struggles or from their pain or whatever it is that it's allowing them to live life unhappy, right? So that to me is happiness.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that if you are able to help somebody, if you are able to make an impact or an impression on someone's life, I think that that's one soul that you're saving. And I think that that's where, us as a nation and us as, as a world and as a whole, we need to start empowering each other. We need to start, really wanting to elevate each other to the next level. And I think that with every little bit of empowering, moment that we are able to give everybody, that is just one step closer to bringing this world into a more peaceful and united place. And I think that another big part of being, being happy is also wanting to create unity. And I know that's one thing
100%.
That's always one thing that I've always wanted to do as well, is I've always wanted to include everyone. I've always wanted everyone to feel that they have a safe space and that they're never forgotten. I've always believed that everyone has, that everyone deserves a chance to, make an experience. And I think that, this can kind of even relate back to even elementary school and high school when you're bullied. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Like, why do people feel that they should remove that happiness from you?
Yeah.
Why do people sometimes feel, how come that person is happy? What is it that person has that I don't have? Why can't I feel like that every day as well, right?
Yep.
And the thing is, it doesn't mean that when someone has a smile every day, wakes up and confronts life in a very different perspective, that doesn't mean that that person inside in their heart and soul, they're completely happy.
Yeah.
It just means that in life they have learned how to overcome and how to, face everyday life with a smile, right? As a form to make the world understand that, whatever life has brought me and thrown at me, I call it like when life throws you rocks, learn to grab those rocks and build a kingdom. And that's a great way to, transform negative into happiness and positivity.
Yeah.
Right? So then does it mean that when that individual is happy, they're not going through nothing at all in their life? No, everybody goes through something.
Absolutely.
It's just they choose not to back down and let it take over.
Let it define. They don't let it define their lives. Absolutely. And I also believe that, just kind of going back to what you were saying before about how when you help people or when you're kind to people, that defines happiness for you. I just think that just kind of all goes back to just basic, common sense of when you're in elementary school and high school and you see a bully and they're making fun of someone who's smaller than them or younger than them, right?
Yeah.
That right there is an instant, I guess, like moment where you can honestly say, like, that is a very unhappy individual. If you have to put somebody down, or if you have to call somebody a name, or if you have to degrade somebody to make yourself feel more whole and complete, that to me ultimately is a very unhappy individual. If you are able to every day wake up and just want happiness for people, and when someone is, doing
that should
better,
be enough.
That should, and when
to
someone
be fulfilled
right,
with happiness, right?
Yes, and when someone is doing better than you, as opposed to you coming from a jealous or coming from a negative space, look at what that person's accomplished and learn from that person. Every time someone in my life has something that I wish I had or has done better than me, I now want to imitate their behavior. I now want to look at what they are doing in their life to get to where they have gone, and because obviously it's worked for them. So if it's worked for them, why could it not work for me? That is someone who's happy. Being able to look at someone else's accomplishment, acknowledge the hard work or acknowledge whatever it is they put into it to get what they got, and then being able to somehow translate it into your life to elevate you more.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's very...
Right. So I want to say thank you to all the viewers. Alfredo Jimenez, un abrazo para usted también. Gracias. And let me go here. So, hi to Doras, obviously Jimmy, Edvan, and let's see, Carlos. Hi, Carlos. Thank you for watching.
Hi, Carlos. Do you remember me?
Do you remember Alexia? We hope so.
I still have those $100 coupons to use.
When will you be using them?
I don't know. I got to figure it out, I guess, right?
Call Carlos. Do you need the number? So, Jimmy, you're saying when people throw me rocks and let them let them roll, at least that will make rock and roll.
Oh, goodness.
You're hilarious.
That's really funny.
That's Jimmy for you guys. So, also Renato. Yes. But I didn't see here. Okay.
Well,
Renato.
anyways,
Hi,
hello,
Renato.
everyone.
Hello. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate each one of you. And so going back to, seeking happiness and self-talk. So seeking happiness, we were talking generalizing with regards to materialistic stuff and how it's not materialistic. It should be within within ourselves, right? And making a difference in others.
Yes.
Right? And self-talk. So don't be afraid to run those thoughts as long as they're positive. I mean, negative thoughts, sometimes it's a good because it's kind of the
it's a push.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Right? Going there and kind of nailing you down and tapping on you as like a challenge. So that's okay. The problem is when that takes over and you give in and you're not wanting to go to the positive side.
Yes, like a positive negative thought that I can think of is like if you do something wrong or if you hurt someone and in your brain oh my god, I hurt somebody, oh my god, I said the wrong thing, or oh my god, something came out of my mouth and it slipped and I shouldn't have said that. Like having that negative thought about yourself is not necessarily a bad thing because it's allowing you to like reflect on a mistake that you've made and trying to do better next time. But it's when it's those constant negative thoughts, when it's it now starts to become a part of your routine and a part of your reality.
But then that could also be because an individual, for example, keeps calling you like, oh, you're not smart. Like, why are you not smart? Why are you keep doing this?
Right.
This air. Then it becomes, because it's so repetitive to the point that you start thinking that you're actually not smart.
Right. It becomes abusive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You start thinking that, okay, maybe why am I being so forgetful? Maybe I am having Alzheimer's, right? Maybe I should go to the doctor. No, believe me, I know people that have gone through that. And once again, it's caused by people that were abusing them, but yet they were not even aware of that, right? Because believe me, a lot of people are not aware the difference between, okay, you can love someone or care for someone, but that does not give them the right to abuse you. And once in a while, okay, you can say something, but not always like kind of jabbing at it all the time and making you feel like, okay, yes, now I'm self-talking to myself negatively because I'm starting to believe that this person
like what they're
is
saying,
telling
you're
me,
internalizing it.
Yes.
I think what's important is that when someone is saying a negative comment to you, really, I know it's hard to do, but really try to use common sense. If someone is in your life and if someone is constantly calling you stupid or constantly calling you a name or constantly saying something negative about you, really analyze the situations in which this person is saying these negative things to you. If you are noticing that the situations in which these people are calling you names or these people are degrading you or they are abusing you, and you're noticing that these situations are very minuscule and don't really account for that type of behavior, really be able to analyze that. Don't automatically start to believe something just because someone says it. Really analyze it. If someone comes up to me and says, Alexia, you are stupid, I need to look at myself in that situation. And I need to look at, was I being stupid in that situation? Was actually something done in that situation for me to be called that name? If I within myself truly believe that I did absolutely nothing wrong, or if I did do something wrong, it didn't really constitute that negative of a name, then don't let it now become an internal dialogue. Don't let it now become something that is going to take over your soul. You know what I mean? Use your brain. You were given one. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
You know, never let someone's negative views about you or hurtful words to you become your internal dialogue. Use common sense. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's actually, it could be the reflection of who they are.
Yes, absolutely.
They may be insulting you and calling you like stupid, or what's wrong with you, you can't remember things, because they themselves have that habit of not remembering things, so they write things down. Right? So then, because you don't write things down, you may actually be a threat to them. So what they do is they start calling you names because they feel, you know what, you're not doing the same that I am. So you know what, you're not, you don't remember this. So basically, you are, you know, stupid.
Yeah.
So now,
that's very insightful, Carla. I love that. Yes. When everyone's, I would never break you, Carla. Oh,
just joking.
I love this human being.
Oh my God, that's so
anyways,
funny.
that was so true. It's like when
did that ring a bell?
That was a
that
real
really
triggering moment. That
Yes.
a lot of the times when negative things happen, it's because it's a reflection of the other person.
Yes.
So insightful. Love that. Love that, Carla. Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
You know, but it's important, I guess, to know the difference.
Yes.
Right? To know the
people
difference.
need to be aware and know the difference. And this is where people fail. This is where people go, oh my God, yeah, you know, you're right. And I know you love me and you care for me. No, stop right there. People, wake up. Wake up. Like, understand and know when that person cares for you and when that person is becoming a reflection of who they are and trying to flip things.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that going back to that as well, I think that a lot of people, you know, accept abuse and they accept negative comments and they accept being called names because they feel the person loves them. Oh, well, he loves me.
That's their way of loving them.
He loves
Yes.
me. He loves me, or she. It's both
She,
sides.
yeah.
He or she loves me. Okay, which is why I need to forgive the person for doing what they do. They care about me.
Or they don't even forgive. They
Yeah.
just live with it. They just accept it. It's like, oh, you hit me? Oh, sure. Just I'll give you the other side.
Right.
Okay.
Let's not be, for lack of better words, stupid here. If you love someone, you don't want to cause them pain.
Yes.
When you care about someone, you want
physically, emotionally,
you
zero
want
pain.
every experience with that person, whether it's a conversation, a texting conversation, a phone conversation, a hangout, a date, a movie date, anything. You want every experience you have with that person to be positive. And if it is a negative situation, it is because of external factors. Someone was laid off at work, someone was having a bad day, someone was in pain. You want external factors to be the reason why your relationship or anything rather is on the rocks. You never want it to be because someone in that relationship is emotionally and mentally being abusive.
Yeah.
Never let love blind you to that. If someone loves you, they will never purposely want to ever hurt you. And I think that's so powerful.
And well said, because I mean, if they love you, they will actually always double check with you if you're okay. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say something wrong? Did that hurt you? Well, I will learn from now on not to do it.
Absolutely.
Right? They really care, and they will check in with you.
Right.
Check mark.
Absolutely. And check mark.
Check mark.
But also at the same time too, they also have this ability to sometimes people just say things and they don't really even realize that they're saying it. But if you're able to go to that person and say, look, this hurt me, and they're able to sit there and own it and make a change and not repeat that same behavior again, then you know you're in a good position. You know what I mean?
But if they don't, then you know that it's,
then you know.
Check
right.
out.
Whenever
time.
someone is putting the blame on you and displacing the blame on you and displacing their emotional and mental abuse on you, you need to cut that out.
Yeah. Start speaking out. Don't do too much of self-talk on that, under that toxication.
Yes.
Okay? It's time to start doing talk out. Okay? Speak out to
Absolutely.
the person.
Absolutely.
Not to yourself, thinking that, you know what, this person is right. No, stop
and don't
it.
make excuses for people either. Yeah, you know, someone may say something negative to you, and your excuse may be for them, we're
yes.
having a bad day.
A lot of people do that.
Or, this person's going through a really hard time, therefore it's okay for them to say or do things. No. No matter what you are going through in life, you should never have to put down another human being to make yourself feel better. If you are going through a negative moment in your life, find ways to turn it into a positive. Find ways to turn whatever negative you're going through in your life and find someone to help you. Seek help. Ask for help. Don't take it out on people that care about you, because someday if that person has enough self-esteem and self-respect, they're going to walk. So never make excuses for people. That's really big too. Don't make excuses for people's negative behavior, because that'll create a very negative internal dialogue.
Like Jimmy says, I accepted bad comments as a respect, but I had to get out from that place because it was giving me so much stress.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the thing. Like, the problem is people start focusing on the toxication. Okay, what I mean that is like simply, let's say someone is in a relationship and then that person is always like, oh my God, so who texts you? Who's calling you? As opposed to, oh, so how was your day? You know, who cares about the phone? How's your day? How's everything? Or, are you, what's wrong? You're not happy? What's going on? How can I help you?
Yes.
Don't, like, people, the fact that when people do this to each other, that goes for women and men.
Yes.
Okay? They don't trust the individual.
Yes.
And they have their, their guard up all the time, causing the other person to be like, okay, what happened now? Right?
Yes.
So those are all signs of toxication towards a relationship, which means that you cannot reach happiness, which means that eventually down the road, the other person that is actually there, not knowing what the heck's going on, being always, seeking for happiness, trying to move forward with the relationship or the friendship or whatever it is.
Yeah, it should never be difficult.
It shouldn't be difficult.
It shouldn't be hard. If you care about somebody, you communicate. And if there is effective, respectful communication there will never, ever be a feeling of unhappiness there. And if a feeling of unhappiness occurs, it's because, like I said, it's external factors influencing the situation. Yeah. But if you as a person are solid, and you with whoever you're communicating with is also coming in 100% solid, there will never be any issues there.
Yeah. So, which means that toxication is no longer there.
Right.
And everything is happy. Everything is good.
Yes. Now, life is obviously not a success-only journey. There are going to be trials and tribulations in everyone's life. But it's how you choose to handle it, and it's how you choose to look at it. If you take the victim route, you are now causing yourself years of mental agony. Or you can take it as, everyone goes through things in life. There are people that have it way worse than I am. Let me be grateful for what I have, and let me turn this negative dialogue into positive dialogue. You will see how much that'll benefit your life.
Yeah. And that could be, maybe put yourself out there, seeing what other people go through. Like, for example, today is freezing.
Yeah.
Right? And I was putting gas, and I was thinking, oh my God, like I am freezing. And I'm thinking, how on earth the homeless people do under these temperature conditions? You know, their hands, their face, their body just go absolutely under frozen mode.
Yeah.
So then I figure, like, you know, sometimes we forget these things of what other people could be going through, and we are not aware until we are in that position as like a wake up call. And you're like, oh, wow, this is how it feels. That now reminds me of so-and-so, of whatever it is, or whatever the group or the individual.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, So that's what it's all about. Now, the going back to self-talk, right? So when sometimes you talk to a friend and then at the same time you contradict yourself, right? That's when you're not only speaking to your friend, but you're also talking to yourself at the same time, because it's then why are you seeking your friend's opinion?
Yeah.
Right? If you're going to be always thinking that whatever your way is the right way.
Right. Yes, I agree with you on that. Why are you going out and asking people for their opinions if you're just not going to take it? Right? And that a lot of the times has to do with your happiness as well. When you are a happy person, you welcome feedback. You welcome people trying to benefit your life and trying to give you, you know, positive ways to, you know, to handle things, or different ways to handle things that you weren't normally used to.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're going to go to someone and ask for advice, or if you're going to go to someone and, you know, put, you know, and tell them your story, and they're willing to give you their perspective on things, but you are then trying to be defensive and you are then trying to justify things, then don't bother.
Yeah. Don't bother. Easy as that.
You know what I mean? Don't waste people's time at that point. You know what I'm saying? Because
and the funny thing is, I don't think these people actually know that.
Yeah.
Until you call them.
Yeah.
On it, and you say, "Listen, we already spoke about this, and you obviously still haven't reached your happiness, right? So there's obviously a problem here, and the problem is simply that individual feels that whatever their way of talking to themselves and the way they think is the right way.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is, until they fall down and hit, you know, the floor. Then they're like, okay, what now?
Yeah.
Right? And then they come back to you, and then
we love that, eh?
And then
don't we love when they come back? That is the best. The best is when they come back.
It's like, okay.
Oh.
So you're broken now. I left you.
They come with their tail
in 2 pieces. Now
they come with their tail between their legs, and they're all embarrassed because they have to sit there and face you when they should have just listened in the first place. I'm a victim of that. I will admit that. I have asked for advice in the past, not taken it, and it's landed me places. So learning from experience, if you are going to go and ask for advice, listen to it.
Yes, or at least, or go to many people then, because
and get a consensus. Maybe sometimes that's what's necessary.
Brainstorm. Okay, spoke to Lex. She said this. What is my goal? The goal is, this is my goal, to succeed, right? So spoke to Lex, spoke to Grace, spoke to Carla, and what did they say? Did they say the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, they said similar things. So, okay, the brainstorming is working, right?
Right.
Okay,
and that's
so
okay. Sometimes you do need some validation from your friends or from people. It's not a problem, but you can't let it get too far. You know what I mean? You can't let it be taken to a place that it's now becoming a little ridiculous. Ask your questions, get your answers.
Ridiculous to the point that now it becomes a group talk. A group chat. Hey, listen.
Therapy session. Oh my God, yes, fair. Lord.
That's okay if it's a therapy section.
We need therapy sessions sometimes, right? But it needs to move in a positive direction, right? It can't be going in circles, you know?
We should actually do like a meetup. A
meet and greet, yes.
No, meet and greets.
Meet and greets.
Hey, welcome to Canada.
Yes. Welcome to welcome
meet
to
and greets. I know. A meetup group. Meetup group is where. Oh wow! What is? Okay, awesome. We got
we heard some very interesting noises there. That
noises.
was cool.
We got some interesting noise.
That was weird. Okay.
Anyways, I guess we're not alone.
No,
Amen.
there is someone in here
Amen.
trying to acknowledge our presence.
So, I would like to hear Alexia's friends' opinions too. Okay.
Yes, guys, I saw some of you were watching, so ask me questions, please.
Now it's time for lunch, it says. Well, these noises just keep on ringing. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, now, going to everyday happiness.
Yes. Okay.
So, how do people manage happiness when they grieve? Right? Right? And I mean, unless you've been through it, done that, you will not understand.
Right.
But yet there's people that, suffer and overcome those things in a totally different way. But then the question is, how do they come to a point where they're
past
happy?
they're past the grieving and now into the happiness. Well, I think what needs to happen is that you need to go through the grieving stages properly. You need to first off acknowledge that it happened. Right? You go through a death, you go through a breakup, you go through a job loss, you go through a financial problem, you go through an injury, you go through something.
Or even you're going through a illness that you
Yes.
know that, it's out of your control.
Yeah.
And you got to embrace
Acknowledge it,
and
acknowledge it.
that
Accept that it's happened.
eventually that may be the end of you.
Yeah,
Right?
acknowledge that it's happened, because once you acknowledge that whatever you're going through has happened, then that is where you are able to now start the grieving process. You acknowledge it happened, feel the pain. I think it's very important for people to think that when you go through something that you should just need to pick back up and move on. No, you need to go through the grieving process. You need to feel hurt. You need to feel pain, because that is a normal, healthy thought
way
process.
to do it, right?
Right.
If you don't, then psychologically, believe me, psychologically you start losing your marbles there.
Yeah, yeah.
Simply because you haven't allowed your system to actually break down. Because honestly, we gotta break down in order to be able to rise up again. And when you rise up,
Yes.
you will stand strong, and people will look at you, and you will be like, talking about things that before you were not able to even talk about it.
Yeah.
And now here you are. You talk and you say, hey, you know what? It's part of life.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But it's manageable. It's possible.
Yeah, I think what you got to do is you got to accept it happened, go through your sadness and your anger. Then I think the next stage after that is analyze. So when you went through all of this, you know what I mean? What could you have done in this situation to create a better outcome? What could you have done in this situation to have prevented what has happened to you? If you could have literally done nothing, then I think that at that point you got to analyze it for itself as, why did it happen to me? Why is God or the universe sending me this lesson? What am I supposed to learn from this? Is it to humble me? Is it to help me grow? Is it to give me a different perspective? Why did this happen to me? And then once you are able to kind of get that kind of situated, then that's where the happiness will start to evolve, because you are then able to be proud of yourself for being able to go through something so detrimental and getting out of it alive and getting out of it with all your marbles intact.
Yeah.
So that right there should be happiness for you, because you are able to tackle that problem, and you're able to tackle that issue, and you're able to still come out of it alive. And that should be your moment to where happiness comes, is when you are able to look back at the situation, accept it for what it is, and move forward from it.
Yeah.
I'm stealing some of your water, Carla.
Okay. You finished yours already?
Oh.
Huh. Okay. So, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm still gonna take some.
So, mi casa es tu casa. Don't worry.
Thank you.
I'm
was
not.
good.
I'm not sick. So.
I am. That's the reason why we're chugging water. Here, give it to Carla.
So you can keep that. Thank you. Sharing is caring.
Yes, we are all for sharing the love here.
That's funny. So, anyways, for and anything you want to add to it, Alexia? I think we covered
I
up
think
pretty
we
much
covered.
very in depth.
I think we got really into it, and I think that, you know, the best way that I can say, I think the best way to end this is just be kind to everybody. You know what I mean? Help people, be there for people. You know what I'm saying? Be open to new ideas, be open to different perspectives, and
give opportunities to people.
Yes, give chances.
Yes.
That's my biggest reality, and my biggest, I think, like learning lesson is to be humble and to give people chances.
Be less materialistic.
Yes.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, this is what happens. People that are rich, they have a lot in their account, great, but you may have a lot in your heart, in your soul, right? That's something that it's
Love
priceless. There's no price to it. And at the end of the day, is we all gonna end up in the same spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so rich or poor, we end up in the same spot. The question
We all end up in the grave at the end of the day.
The question is, how impactable while you live your life in this journey, how impactable are you, and how big of a difference are you making while going through meeting people and encountering that karma.
Yeah.
With people.
Yeah.
So that's something that people should actually, I say it, step out of your bubble, sit there and analyze it. That's the best way to get there and to reach the self-talk and reach happiness. Okay? So for tonight, we are wrapping up. And don't forget, everybody, Carla Paiva Life Coach every Wednesday with Frequency 5 FM at 8 p.m. And let's do a group hug. Yes, group hug.
Group hug.